When you get up to get a drink, you really ought to stop and think about the ways to quench your heavy thirst. The refrigerator's loaded, but before you grab a soda, why not try a big wet glass of water first? Oh, water is a drink that you can trust. No one's ever lost a tooth from rust. So try to drink 6 glasses, use the fountain between your classes. When you're thirsty, reach for water. You know you really ought to. It's the best no-calorie drink in all the world.
Now you have your license, you can get behind the wheel, showing off your freedom, and you like the way it feels.
Heading for a good time,
gonna pick up someone special,
great taste,
impress the lady.
Davy.
Busy for lunch, Grandma?
Good time, great taste.
We could go inside, Davy.
And get out of the car?
Of McDonald's.
In my pocket, got my finger on the phone. I try to call my baby, but she ain't home. What to do? Where to go? Push all the buttons on my radio. Feel sick. I need a fix. Don't ask me why, cause I don't know. Don't even try unless I'm high. I got the itch, hope it doesn't show. There's lots of things I need to buy. I don't like it, but I gotta have more. I ain't a fiend, you understand? It makes me feel like I'm a man. Don't have to move, I'm in the groove. Don't have to worry about what I am. The stuff's the best I ever have. I try to save a little if I can. Don't hide it, just divide it. And give your brother a helping hand. We came the fools are taking, keep our mind awake and aching, keep our hands shaking, taking all the stuff we need to make it right. Brother, don't slow down. Grab your sticks and brother, hammer down. Who's the late and who's the dark? Spit on the cameras and the calling art is just a joke. It's all a hoax. We're all brothers and it's time to start. I got a plan, you understand? The truth is there in your own heart. Don't be a joy and get to work. You're gonna make it if you get smart. We had a little meeting in the evening by the poolside and we all decided finally how I could be the cool guy. Brother, don't slow down. Don't slow down. Grab your guitar. Brother, hammer down.
We are all done for glue. A dragon shoots and go. Black thoughts on blue. Hanging right now. Dancers and boys now among us. Serves no more. Countless monks and hordes. Working class to lords. Put these bones on sleep. In the relay. Scattered bones on teeth. Plenty of faith. White bones on tote. Your only hope. What you gonna do? It's up to you. Brother, don't slow down. Grab your girlfriend and
Brother, hammer down. Brother, don't slow down. Brother, hammer down. Brother, don't slow down. Brother, hang around. Brother.
A Yuletide message from Bobcat Goldthwait and MTV.
Hi. This holiday season, you can do something about the crass commercialization of Christmas. You can be a part of it!
It's the MTV Scrooge for a Day contest. You'll be the greediest thing known to man, a television network president. You'll be rich, you'll be powerful, just like Bill Murray in his new Paramount hit Scrooge. You'll run an entire network, MTV. For one whole day, you'll see what it's like to pick the videos.
And coming up next, the entire Tiffany catalog.
Pick the news.
Bobcat Goldthwait today received the Nobel Peace Prize for his work with toddlers.
Read it!
He's the handsomest man ever to win the prize.
Give high-level orders to groveling toadies.
Go down the store and get the frozen pizza.
As MTV's Scrooge for a Day, you'll win a big fat commission from MTV Holiday Advertising and one day's gross from a major theater showing Scrooge, plus Levi's 501 jeans, Twix cookie bars, and Permasoft shampoo. And at the end of the day, just like Scrooge, you'll be gently persuaded by the ghost of Christmas to give 20% to charity. So send your name, age, and address to MTV Scrooge for a Day. Post Office Box 899, Radio City Station, New York, New York, 10101.
By the way, I happen to be in that movie too. That may sound like self-promotion, but hey, it's the season.
When I was 10 years old, Land of the Lost debuted on NBC as a Saturday morning kids show. Produced by the fine folks over at Sid and Marty Krofft Productions, this show was a little different than their previous efforts. This time the stakes were higher, as the Marshall family are transported from our world to another one where prehistoric dangers are around every corner. As a kid, I ate this stuff up. The show ran for 3 seasons, 43 episodes in all, which if you're familiar with any of the other Sid and Marty Krofft shows, that's the equivalent of a show running for 10 years or more. Sid and Marty usually only had their shows run for a single season, or maybe 2 if it was super popular, and then they'd move on to the next project and find ways to repackage the old stuff over and over. Great examples of this are shows like The Bugaloos, Lidsville, and Electra Woman and Dyna Girl. But Land of the Lost definitely deserved a second season and a third season. It was just that popular. Sid and Marty would later include Land of the Lost in their syndicated Krofft Super Show package, and reruns would also find their way back to network television again in the 80s, finding a whole new audience of fans. So now that we've established well enough that Land of the Lost was a pretty cool show, let me take a couple of minutes and share with you 5 things that I didn't know until very recently that you may not know either. Number 1. Although uncredited, Star Trek alumnus David Gerrold, writer of the classic episode The Trouble with Tribbles, was heavily involved in the creation of this show. As a Season 1 story editor, Gerrold, along with Alan Fushko, helped with the development of scripts and helped to flesh out the simple kids show concept that the brothers Sid and Marty Krofft had come up with. In fact, a number of well-respected writers in the science fiction field contributed scripts to the series, including Larry Niven, Theodore Sturgeon, and Ben Bova. And along with Gerrold, a number of other Star Trek people were involved, such as D.C. Fontana and Walter Koenig. Number 2. Hey, that's not Rick Marshall! Yep, Uncle Jack ended up keeping an eye on Will and Holly during Season 3 due to a contract dispute with actor Spencer Milligan. Milligan not only wanted a raise, but he wanted to be compensated for the use of his image on the merchandise being sold to kids everywhere. Instead of addressing Milligan's concerns, the decision was made to send Rick back to Earth and through a series of convoluted events, transport his brother Jack, who had been dutifully searching for the Marshalls, into their alternate reality. Veteran actor Ron Harper, hey, I remember him from the TV version of Planet of the Apes, was brought on board to play Uncle Jack. Number 3, when ABC remade the series in 1991 with a different family, the Porters, the character of the beautiful jungle girl Krista was originally intended to be Holly Marshall, still trapped in this prehistoric reality. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the deal with Kathy Coleman, the actress who played Holly in the original series, never got made, and as a result the character was rewritten to be Krista, a girl who came from 1960s San Francisco and was transported into the Land of the Lost. when she was very young. Number 4, that 2009 movie starring Will Ferrell. Well, the Kroft brothers aren't that fond of it. I guess that shouldn't be too much of a surprise because most people aren't in love with that movie, and critics absolutely hated it, citing it as a low point in Will Ferrell's career. Still, I didn't mind it. Not a masterpiece, but there were moments that were mildly amusing. And last but not least, at number 5, we've got the Kroft brothers, who are hard at work developing a new version of the show for television. This time they promise it is going to be even more serious, and each episode will be an hour long. Boy, I hope they really pull it off. That would be awesome.
Hey, you guys! I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
Michelle Pfeiffer? The only true Catwoman is Julie Newmar, Lee Merriweather, or Eartha Kitt. And I didn't need molded plastic to improve my physique. Pure West.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
I love it when a plan comes together.
It's time. Let's talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. Good evening and welcome to the Good Stuff Live. My name is Dave Sundstrom. And you know what? If you enjoy talking about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, well, you've come to the right place. Tonight, we're going to talk all about one of my favorite kids programs from the 70s. It debuted on NBC in 1974. The show I'm talking about, of course, is Land of the Lost, the original version. There was an updated version that debuted on ABC, I think, in the 90s. And then, of course, we had the Will Ferrell movie almost 10 years ago now that, well, it wasn't a fan favorite. But we'll talk about the original Land of the Lost, as well as any other Saturday morning programs that you guys would like to talk about during the next hour or so. But yeah, I will probably focus as much as possible on the Land of the Lost. And in doing so, I'm going to share some videos, and we will do a little trivia at the end of the evening as well. So first off, let's welcome some folks that are here in the stream. We have over 80 of you with us now. Superfan Tracy Roth-Myers is here, and I see a super chat from you, Tracy. I'll get to that in just a minute. Superplex is here, a.k.a. Dave. Welcome, Superfan Superplex. I should say Superfan Jill Carter, Superfan Lance Chaffin, Richard B. Happy, Hungry Jerk, Superfan Georgia Ayers, Chow 5. My friend Steve Tevis, also known as The Life and Sad Ending, is here. Superfan Spike Spikerson, Superfan Pat McCormick, a.k.a. The Golden Rage of TV, is here. Superfan Spike Spikerson, Emily Miller, Jerry Gillespie. Let's see who else is here. Thresh Pondo Pons is. How you doing, Bob? Good to have you with us. Superfan Nancy D. Robert Pinto, Groovy Highway, the Josh Sings, and there's your super chat, Tracy. Let's hit that. Thank you so much. You know what? Got a Diet Coke in hand right now. I'll take a swig. Thank you very much, Tracy. And let me show you a little bit of video love as a way of showing my appreciation to you for that lovely super chat, hooking me up with some Diet Coke for the next week or so. I think Fred Rogers said it best.
You are special.
You are indeed, Tracy. Thank you so much. Appreciate you and your support through being a member of the channel as well as the super chat. That's great. Superfan Miles High is here. Scrolling down, Superfan Mike D, welcome. Couch Potato, good to have you with us. My friend Danny Staten, also a superfan, I believe, depending on which channel he logs in on. Couch Potatoes here, Double B. Good to have you with us. Tim the Enchanter, James Rice, Richard B. Happy, Bogart fan, Craig Bloxam. Scrolling through, Todd McCreary, that was the Tubes you were listening to earlier, an unreleased track off of an album that they produced for A&M Records that was never released, called, they were going to call it Suffer for Sound. It became known as the Black Album, and that song was called Brother, Brother, Don't Slow Down. They went on the Midnight Special with Wolfman Jack, for those folks who remember that show. It was when they were promoting Xanadu. They were in the movie Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John, and they played that song. It's a great song, and I think, to my knowledge, the only time that they played that on network television. All right, Nino Kimura, welcome. Good to have you with us. James Rice, welcome. Shannon Burns, you know the thing. Al Oduwardi, Daryl Johnston, Old Gamer Chuck Skull, Tim, not the Enchanter this time. Ed Reed's here. Good to have you with us. TJ921, Abel, Drew L, Ian, Superfan, Retro Serial, also known as ENC, welcome. You know the thing is here with us tonight. And I think I'm caught up for the most part. So let's do this. Oh, Superfan Kevin Davis is here. Good to have you with us as well, Kevin. So here's the deal. Here's what we're going to do. I remember as a kid, I think I was 10 years old, because it was the 1974 NBC Saturday morning preview program. It was aired on a Friday night prior to the debut of all of NBC's new Saturday morning programs it was the fall of 1974. And this particular program was produced by Sid and Marty Krofft. Of course, they had a number of shows on NBC at the time, including Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. I think the Bugaloos was still in reruns, a bunch of shows, and they were debuting, of course, Land of the Lost. And that was also the year, by the way, that Star Trek the Animated Series came out. And anyway, Jimmy Osmond was the host. And so we're going to let Jimmy Osmond kick it off for us tonight. And then we'll go from there.
Saturday celebration, we can tell you without a doubt. Soon you'll see by our presentation what the shouting is all about. I've the pleasure of bringing to you people you're gonna dig the most. Lucky me, I'm the fellow who you have selected to be your host. There's a lot of anticipation, entertainment is out of sight at our Saturday celebration that we're doing for you tonight. Entertainment is out of sight at our Saturday celebration that we're doing for you tonight.
You know what? I love Jimmy Osmond. I love all of the Osmonds. Of course, I have a soft spot for the Osmond family, being that they are from Utah, and I have lived in Utah my entire life. So anyway, let me get to what we're going to do is I'll show you that evening as Jimmy Osmond was sharing the new shows that would be on NBC the following morning. There was a Land of the Lost promo. And we'll share that in just a moment. But I want to get to a super chat from my friend, superfan John Collins. He says, I have to admit something to the community. I watch every video and comment on them. However, often haven't read the other comments. They're awesome. I'll do better. The chat about Julie McCullough and Richard Simmons is very interesting. You know what? Totally agree, John. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons that I enjoy making the videos so darn much is the conversation that takes place after the videos are published on YouTube. And in both cases, I mean, the chat around Jilly McCullough and her being dismissed from Growing Pains, as well as so many people have interesting stories to share about Richard Simmons and what a genuinely nice feller this guy is. It's just been, in both cases, enlightening and in some cases uplifting to read those comments. So I totally agree with you. I thank you so much for the super chat. That's very generous, and I'm going to put you in timeout on super chats for the remainder of the evening. That's plenty generous. Thank you so much. And you requested last week, John. You requested. You gave me two names in terms of video thank yous. You gave me Archie Bunker and Betty White. I haven't done a Betty White one yet, but I did put one together with Archie Bunker. So this one's for you, my friend, and thank you again. Who knew Archie could dance so darn well? Hey, thanks again, John. Truly appreciate it. And for those folks who haven't gone back and read the comments of other community members on the videos, I would encourage you to do the same. They are really great. This community has so much to share. They're really wonderful. All right. Pat says, "Dear God, Lawrence Welk, please." Sorry, we've got a bunch of videos on tap, but unless it's actually requested by someone, Pat, I think you'll be safe. I think you'll be safe tonight. Okay, so let's keep going. So what I want to do is I'm going to play the promo for Land of the Lost that I saw that morning. That got me super excited to see Land of the Lost the next day. And then later on, as we talk more about the show, I'm going to share videos on Kathy Coleman, Philip Paley, and oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the great guy's name that played, holy cow, Spencer. Can't remember his last name right now, but who played the father on the show. I'll remember it when I watch my own video that I made. So let's do this. Let's watch the preview. This is what I saw that morning on, or that Friday evening, and got me super excited for Land of the Lost.
A world stopped in time, and the Marshall family struggles to survive.
I keep on wishing this was a dream.
If there's a way in here, there's got to be a way out of here.
What are they?
Ota, ota, yeba, ota.
Little one has fallen. He's hurt himself.
Come on, eat it. Okay, I got it. Come on, hurry.
Dad!
Thanks, Thrash Pondo. Leave it to my friend Bob to come up with the actual name. It's Spencer Milligan. Thank you so much. Hey, I'm going to get to a couple of comments real quick here. And by the way, if you're watching all these things, it will help you immensely when we get to trivia. Now, there are a couple of questions in the trivia tonight that I think are going to stump even the most ardent Land of the Lost fan. But hey, we'll see what happens. First off, my friend Tom, a.k.a. Hungry Jerk, said, "What happened to Judy Strangis?" You know what? I've got a video out there on that, Tom, if you haven't seen it. If not, you know what I'll do? I'll dig it up. And after this live stream is over, you know, kind of at the end when we're winding things down, after it's formally over, but people are hanging around, I'll play that video for you. Let's see. Thank you, Dominic D, for the kind words about the Karen Valentine video. I have lot of fondness for Karen. In the 70s, I just thought she was the cat's pajamas. And I plan on making a couple more videos about her over time. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got here. Daryl, thank you for keeping an eye on the likes. We have 115 watching, and hopefully folks are enjoying the live stream. And if you do, and only if you do, I would appreciate it clicking on the old thumbs up button. Let's see what else we got here. Emily says she had such a crush on Wesley Urey. That's a video I haven't done yet that I need to. Not that Emily had a crush on Wesley, but whatever happened to. Wesley Urey is probably one of the most active. As my kids were growing up, there was a show on PBS called Dragon Tales, and I never put two and two together that Wesley Urey was one of the creators of that show. But I probably watched more Dragon Tales with my boys than I watched Land of the Lost growing up as a kid. Yes, thank you for doing that. Thank you for reminding folks. Mike D, superfan Mike D, says it's funny that I mentioned Chomps on the Valerie Bertinelli video yesterday. Wesley Urey was in that too. Yeah, he co-starred with Valerie Bertinelli in that movie. I think I responded to you, Mike, in that was a movie I remember watching the summer. I can't remember what year was it. Summer of 78, summer of 79, something like that. And it was the first, I believe, Hanna-Barbera live-action movie. It might have been one of their last. Let's see. Drew L says, sadly, the original Land of the Lost was a little before my time. I was a fan of the newer one, though. But that show, the original, kept coming back in various forms. So I think a lot of folks, even if you weren't, prime Saturday morning viewing age in 1974, later on, it was on. The Crofts had a way of repurposing and finding ways to reuse old programming. Let's see what else we got. Groovy Highway says Spencer Milligan, actor extraordinaire. True. And we will learn more about Spencer in just a little bit. All right. Let's keep scrolling here. Oh, you know what? Let me move my microphone. The microphone I have is one that I have to speak straight into it, or it does kind of fade in and out. So I'll work on that. Thank you so much. I do have a super sticker here from Jason. I'm probably going to butcher that last name. I want to say Sakulo. We'll try that. Hopefully I got that right, Jason. But thank you so much. Let me throw a little video love your way in the form of one of my favorite all-time television battles. Thanks so much. Appreciate your support, Jason. Truly valued. Let's see. Yeah, Wesley Urey was, not only was he on Match Game and some other game shows in the 70s, but he was also on, I believe it was Days of Our Lives. He was a regular on Days of Our Lives. Sakina McMurran says the special effects for Land of the Lost were pretty good for its time. My daughter loved watching Dragon Tales when she was little. Yeah, my kids loved that show. Land of the Lost special effects were, they're pretty dated now. But for its time, that mix of stop motion, very rudimentary green screen work, and then they also used puppets. It was pretty innovative, and beyond the special effects, I gotta say, just the stories were so great. Superfan John Collins says, "Hey Dave, before I purchase your new Batman T-shirt, what does the T-shirt say?" It says, what does it say? It says something about not needing molded plastic, or he didn't need molded plastic to improve his physique. He was pure West, is what it says. Something that Adam West said, I believe, on The Simpsons, if I remember correctly. Pine Shimmer, good to have you with us. Kimberly Wiederhold, welcome. Kenneth Wilkinson, good to have you here. Jay Trace, welcome. Let's see. Chrome Minions here. Good to have you with us. Steve Tevis says, I was 18 in 1974. Didn't see much of Land of the Lost. I can see where you might not. Earl Smith says, it was a good show. Good writing. Was a fan of the second season with the Zarn. Yeah, there's a question in trivia tonight about the Zarn. Wish they had used him more in the third season. Wish Spencer hadn't left. You and me both. All right. This is a good stopping point, questions-wise. And let's go into our first video. This is a video on the actress who played Holly, Kathy Coleman. If I can find it. There we go. As a 10-year-old kid, I could not wait for Saturday morning to arrive to get my Land of the Lost fix. Unlike some of the other nuttier Sid and Marty Krofft shows, remember Lidsville? This one, while still not entirely plausible, had the benefit of a handful of great writers headed by the show's creator, Star Trek alumnus David Gerrold. Each week I would be transported to another land with amazing adventures filled with the often kind Pakuni and the always malevolent Sleestack. Man, I hated those guys. But as much as I hated the Sleestacks, I loved Holly Marshall. I loved her for a number of reasons, but here are the top 3. 1, we were roughly the same age. 2, she was kind and brave. And 3, she was really cute. Over the course of 3 seasons, actress Kathy Coleman would play Holly Marshall to perfection. This was not her first gig. In fact, prior to this role, she'd been in a group called the Mike Curb Congregation. This group had a top 40 pop hit in the early 70s with the title cut from their album Burning Bridges. I guess it was used in the movie Kelly's Heroes. They also had another hit in the 70s with a song called Sweet Gingerbread Man, and then they did a cover of the Sherman Brothers' It's a Small, Small World, which was a minor hit. Not sure exactly when Kathy joined the group, but my best guess would be somewhere around 72 or 73. After Land of the Lost ended its initial run in 1977, Kathy found herself at an awkward age in Hollywood where she was auditioning for roles with other actresses who were 18 years or older and as such legally adults, because they could pass for 15, 16, or 17, and the producers wouldn't have to deal with all of the special rules that come along with hiring a minor. These actresses had a leg up on Kathy, and because of that, she focused her time on school and other projects. She did, however, get hired for a Burger King commercial when she was 17. By the way, the image you see on the screen right now, it's a recreation. I could not find any archived images of the actual television commercials. Throughout it all, Kathy lived her life. She got married, she helped her husband maintain a farm. In the early 90s, she was contacted about reprising her role as Holly in a new version of Land of the Lost. Unfortunately, negotiations broke down and the producers made the decision to rewrite the character as Krista, another young woman who had been trapped into Land of the Lost. From time to time, Kathy would find time to act, but most often in local plays. She did, however, start to write her memoirs. Lessons learned from her relationships. Lessons learned from life. She also began attending comic conventions where she developed a reputation as someone who was approachable and easy to connect with. When Land of the Lost was made into a live-action feature film in 2009, the character of Holly Marshall was radically reconceived. She was no longer Rick Marshall's daughter. Instead, she was a potential love interest for Will Ferrell's character. In a nod to Kathy's portrayal of Holly, there were scenes where she wore Holly's iconic plaid shirt and red corduroy pants. But it wasn't enough for die-hard fans who weren't interested in a parody. They wanted a legitimate action flick that had the same heart as the show, but with improved special effects. And it didn't help that Kathy's cameo was cut from the final version of the film. Still, you can find it on YouTube. I'll put a link in the upper right section of this video. There it is. Don't click on it yet because you need to know about Kathy's amazing book, Run, Holly, Run. I mentioned earlier that she had started working on her memoirs years ago, and it turned out to be a wonderful labor of love. You can pick her book up at Amazon. I'll put a link in the description field. You know, I bet she'd really love it if you picked up a copy. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Kathy practices the fine art of positivity to perfection, and her book will not only take you back to the 70s and the making of Land of the Lost, but it will inspire you. Yep, I said it, the I word. This book is just that good. So that's it. Did you enjoy the original version of Land of the Lost as much as I did? And in particular, Kathy's performance as Holly Marshall? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And while you're at it, I would love a thumbs up, and I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. All right. A couple comments I want to address. One from Marta Avery. She says, I just told my husband about your channel and he will be subscribing. He's a truck driver. Thanks for the plethora of information that you give all of us. You are very welcome. And thank you for passing or recommending the channel to your husband, Marta. There was also a couple of comments. I'm not sure if it was from the same person, but a couple about whether I was looking forward to the Munsters remake or the Rob Zombie film that's coming out, I believe, next year. It's kind of like Land of the Lost, right? In that I was looking forward to that movie as well, but with some trepidation. And I guess the same would hold true. I won't be surprised if it's something that's very disappointing to me, because much like, I was excited to see a Land of the Lost movie, but they could not improve upon the original, even though their special effects were out of this world and they had a multi-million-dollar budget. The original, the storytelling within those original 3 seasons of Land of the Lost, they were just, it was so much better than anything that they could come up with for the feature film. And I really hope that Rob Zombie can be faithful to not only, the characters and the imagery of the Munsters, the original television series, but I also hope that he can be faithful to the spirit of the original television series as well. All right, let me scroll through here and see what we got here. Pine Shimmer says, Will is great in SNL, but his movies are terrible. I like the series and I like the Sleestacks. The Sleestacks terrified me, but I liked them too. I thought they were so cool. Bill Lambier was one of the Sleestacks, which is really cool if you're a fan of professional basketball. Here's the thing. I do have some Will Ferrell movies that I enjoy. I really enjoy Elf. And I enjoyed a Netflix movie that came out, I think, last year or the year before, called Eurovision, which was a lot of fun. Had Rachel Adams in it as well, and some really great music. Had a lot of silliness, too, which happens a lot in Will Ferrell movies. Pat says, super fan, Pat McCormick, the book Run, Holly, Run will glue you to its pages. She's had a heck of a life. Sweet one wears my shirt often. I named my newest cat after her beloved puppy, Peekaboo Jones. Thanks for sharing that, Pat. Danny Staten, my buddy and fellow YouTube creator out there in South Carolina, says, love the original series every bit as much as I hated the movie. Folks, check out Danny's channel over on the Daily Dan blog. When he's not hunting for Bigfoot, he's out there, he's reviewing comic books, and he does a great job. No one better at reviewing comic books than Danny Staten. I've thought about doing that myself, but then I think I cannot replicate what Danny's already doing. He's just so good. Emily Miller says the only Ferrell movie I liked was Stranger Than Fiction. I liked that movie as well, Emily. Different kind of Will Ferrell movie, but I liked it as well. Danny Staten says, once again, the best Croft show was Bigfoot and Wild Boy. Love that show as well. Danny, thanks for pointing that out. All right. So what we're going to do next, let's see. Wait, I want to get to a couple more comments. Sakina says, the original Land of the Lost show brings back memories when I was 11 years old. Yeah, we're roughly the same age, Sakina. Just a great, great show, and so magical when you are that age when that show debuted, right? It just... I was so excited for new episodes of Land of the Lost. Let's see. Superfan Tracy Rothmeyer says, that's why I prefer the Doctor Who Classic series. The originals were great. Sometimes you just can't beat the originals, right? I think that holds true for me with Star Trek. As much as I appreciate Star Trek The Next Generation and some of the other programs that came afterwards, the original series is still the best for me. Desad 1776, welcome to the live stream. She says, love Sleestacks, as did I. And yes, Anchorman was a funny movie. Totally agree, Dominic D. All right. Bob says, used to call them sleazy stacks. Yeah, I can see why you would. Oh, the sleazy stacks definitely freaked me out as well. Lamont Bradford says, I hate the sleazy stacks because of Bill Lambier. Too funny. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, and Will Ferrell was okay in the other guys as well. That was a good one. Hey, it's Barry King. Barry has a great podcast. Check it out, BK on the Air. Talks about all things retro. If you like the stuff that I talk about, you're going to love his podcast. Andrew A to Z, welcome to the live stream as well. Al Oduardi says, I'm with you on Star Trek. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see. Jonathan Meyer says, hi, Dave. Can you upload, like, what happened to V from the 80s? I've got a video on V. I'll tell you what. I told Hungry Jerk that I would play the Whatever Happened to Judy Strangis video after the live stream is over, just as things are kind of winding down. I will find my V video. I'm writing this down so I don't forget. Judy Strangis and V. I'll find my V video and play that after the Judy Strangis video. So, okay. Great suggestion. We are going to go to the next video as we celebrate the 1974 version of Land of the Lost. We're going to go to a video. Which video are we going to do? Oh, we're going to do the merch video. One of the things that was so cool about Land of the Lost was all the great merch that was available. And here's just a smidgen of what one could find out there if you were a kid in the mid-70s and you were a huge Land of the Lost fan. All right. Lots of great merchandise. That was one of the things, didn't have a lot of money growing up. My parents, I think they gave me like $1 a week allowance when I was that age. So I'd have to save up my money for those things. But I definitely was a fan of what I typically bought were the comic books. So there was a Land of the Lost comic book that came out. It was published by Gold Key Comics. And I loved that. And hey, it's Crazy Joe, Megapodtastic. Great to have you with us this evening as well. We're talking about Land of the Lost, so welcome. Good to have you here. By the way, that is another channel. If you're a fan of the same stuff, he tends to go a little bit more towards like the sci-fi and the superheroes and those kind of things, but he's got a great channel. You should check it out. It's called Megapodtastic. Megapodtastic. And speaking of great channels, Golden Rage of TV, Pat McCormick says that his next video is going to be on the Squire of Gothos from the original Trek. A really great episode of the original Trek, I believe. So I would buy those James Blish novelizations. They'd be like 3 or 4 Star Trek episodes in each novel. They were like paperback books. At least that's how I bought them. And I believe that one might have been in Star Trek 11, which was the very first one I bought, and loved that story and loved that episode. Thanks for pointing that out. You guys need to subscribe to Pat's channel as well. All right, as we continue to... Oh, wait, there was something else I wanted to hit. Oh, we had another super sticker from Jason Sekulo. Thank you so much. The scientific theory of the series is insightful. Yes, that was one of the things that was really strong about Land of the Lost, is it didn't talk down to its audience. Maybe its special effects weren't great. Maybe even one could complain a little bit about the acting, right? But you could not complain about the science behind what they were talking about on that show, and that's because you had people like David Gerrold and DC Fontana, Trek veterans, working on Land of the Lost. So let me throw a little video love your way. You know, it's a rare week that I don't find a way to work Spidey into the live stream.
Someone is trying to embarrass me.
Thanks so much for the support, Jason, and great comment. Appreciate it. All right. So as we continue on, I saw a couple questions I don't want to answer regarding things that have to do with Land of the Lost, because we'll get to them in trivia. But let's get to another video real quick, and then we'll get to a few more comments. Let's talk a little bit about Spencer Milligan. Prior to Land of the Lost, I had no idea who Spencer Milligan was. However, once the show hit the television airwaves in 1974, Milligan became one of my favorite actors. Why? Well, because for 2 seasons, he played a kind and resourceful father who always put the best interest of his children in front of his own. Yep, he was Rick Marshall, father to Will and Holly, played by Wesley Ury and Kathy Coleman respectively. And even though the special effects employed by the show as their little raft was sucked into that alternate dimension, well, they were pretty darn bad. It didn't matter, because I believed them. And I bought into the whole premise largely because of the great chemistry of these 3 actors. I've talked about Land of the Lost in other videos, but it was something truly special. Produced by Sid and Marty Krofft, this show wasn't like their other shows. Think H.R. Pufnstuf, The Bugaloos, and Lidsville. No, this show was actually the brainchild of Star Trek alumnus David Gerrold, and as such, it frequently introduced characters and plot lines that challenged its younger viewers. Don't get me wrong, this was definitely a kid's show, but it wasn't standard kiddie fare. So it was somewhat heartbreaking to see that when the show returned for a 3rd season, that Spencer Milligan and his character of Rick Marshall, they'd been written out of the TV series. In his place was Uncle Jack, played by veteran actor Ron Harper. Kathy Coleman has talked a little bit about the transition from Spencer to Ron in her book Run, Holly, Run. In a nutshell, it wasn't a great experience for any of the actors as well. They missed Milligan, who had decided to take a stand about the use of his image on the show's product merchandising. These days, I don't believe that actors have the same difficulties. At least I hope they don't. Anyway, if you're interested in reading Kathy's book, I'll post a link to it in the video's description section. Post Land of the Lost, Milligan found work on television shows like Logan's Run, Bionic Woman, and Quincy M.E. He was keeping busy, but at the same time, I think he may have realized just how special the role of Rick Marshall was. I'm not saying that he regretted his decision to walk away from the show in any way, but I am saying that I'm sure it was hard to see the show he loved move on without him. I have a soft spot for Milligan's appearance on Logan's Run. I've already spoken about my love for that show. I'll put a link to it in the upper right hand corner of this video right now. There it is, as well as at the end of the presentation if you want to wait and check it out in a bit. But I think this image goes a long way to demonstrate why it was so great. Yep, in one single shot we've got Greg Harrison, Nicholas Hammond, who was starring in Spider-Man TV movies at the time, and Spencer Milligan. What a great night of television! I think the last thing that I ever saw Milligan in was all the way back in '82 on that zany television show Police Squad, which starred Leslie Nielsen. It which would later transition to a series of motion pictures. I didn't catch him in anything after that, although I do believe he made an appearance on the daytime soap opera General Hospital in the late 80s. Anyway, after that, Milligan just seemed to disappear. So what happened? Where did he go? Well, it seems that he made the decision to leave Hollywood and, to be quite frank, never look back. But that doesn't mean that he left sharing his love of acting behind. Milligan moved to Texas in the 90s, where he helped teach acting at Adam Rourke's Film Actors Lab, where actors like Lou Diamond Phillips got their start. Fans of the original Trek television series may remember Adam Rourke from that show's very first episode, the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage. Milligan eventually moved back to his family's home in Wisconsin and became even more involved with helping local actors hone their craft. He is on the board of directors with the well-known Third Avenue Playhouse and continues to teach there. And Spencer's brought with him to Wisconsin and the Third Avenue Playhouse many of the things that he picked up while working with Adam Rourke in his Film Actors Lab. I'm not an actor and never aspire to be one, but if I were, and I were anywhere near the Third Avenue Playhouse geographically, I would most certainly take advantage of this opportunity to learn from, well, a wonderful man. A few years back, Wesley, Kathy, and Philip Paley, the actor who played Chaka in the original series, decided to track Milligan down. They hadn't seen him in years, and the reunion, from what I understand, was super sweet. Spencer has said this about his former Land of the Lost castmates and friends. He said, "I loved working with those kids. I truly enjoyed them. We had a lot of fun." And you know what? I believe the man. Land of the Lost was a special show, and those first 2 seasons were extra special because of Milligan's involvement. Anyway, I'm all done yapping about Spencer Milligan. Were you a fan of his work? If so, share your memories in the comments section. And while you're at it, I would absolutely love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I'd be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. All right, Spencer Milligan, what a great guy, what a talented feller. And yeah, he kind of just left the industry as a whole after a while. He left Land of the Lost because he was just very much not happy with the way he was being compensated for his use of his image within all that merch that I talked about earlier. A couple of super stickers I want to address. One from Dave Claroni. Thank you so much, Dave. That's too kind. I appreciate the support, as does my good friend Ed Grimley. Additionally, there's another super sticker here from superfan Lance Chaffin. Thank you so much, Lance. You asked a question too. You asked if I was going to do a drawing for Remind Magazine, an annual subscription to Remind Magazine. I did it during last week's live stream. I do it once a month. So we'll do it again in February. We'll do it again in March. And then I've got to go back to my friends at Remind Magazine and see if they want to continue allowing me to do that. Well, we've had 2 winners so far, a December winner, a January winner, and we will do it again in February. Thanks for asking. Here, how about a little video, Love Your Way? Let's do, what haven't I done for a while? I don't know if I've done Adam West for a while.
Thank you. 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 Thank you.
I really can't say thank you enough, Lance. Thank you for your support as a member of the channel. That's always appreciated. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about Lance, as well as a handful of others, have clicked on the little join button right there that's right below all of my videos, and they pay $1.99 a month. And what happens with that $1.99 a month is they get early access to some of my videos. They get back access to the live stream archives past 30 days. They get prioritized responses to their comments, and they get a whole lot of love from me. So thanks so much, Lance, for all of your support. Let me get back to the comments here. Now, there were a couple other comments I wanted to address. Let's see. Alfred Avery said that Marta sent him. Hey, thank you for joining us. And so did Barbecued Roofer. So Marta, thank you for referring these new community members. And thanks to Al, that was Alfred and Barbecued Roofer. Good to have you with us. All right. Uh-oh, I'm seeing some, what do we got here? Uh-oh. The Daily Dan blog, superfan Danny Staten says it's Lawrence Welk time. Well, you know what? It's Lawrence Welk time. Let's do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thanks, Danny. I saw Pat saying something about no, Dave, please, Dave. Yes, Dave. I can't decide what, but appreciate you bringing on the Lawrence Welk. It always does my heart good to have a little bit of the Lawrence Welk singers each week on the live stream. Truly appreciated. A huge super sticker from Monk Martin. Holy cow. Thank you so much, Monk Martin. Truly appreciated. Let me find a little something. None other than the best. Robin Williams for you, my friend.
Grazie, gracias, danke, merci, spasibo, sheshe, arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you very much. 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 Thank you. Thank you very much.
Two of the all-time greats, Robin Williams as well as Elvis Presley. Terrell asks, would I consider doing a video on Wesley Ury? Not only would I consider it, it will happen. I'm a big fan of the man and his work, his career. It goes well beyond Land of the Lost. I talked earlier about the fact that he was a co-creator of a children's show that my boys loved watching as they were growing up called Dragon Tales. It was aired on PBS. So yes, I'm planning on doing something on Wesley Ury in the future. As I was putting together this live stream and the videos for it, I realized that that's kind of the gap, right? I've done something on Spencer Milligan, Kathy Coleman. I've got something on Philip Paley, but nothing on Wesley Ury so far. So great suggestion. Great suggestion. Let's see what else we got here. Superfan Superflex says, for once I'd like to see fat Elvis, saying thank you very much. You know, did Elvis really ever get all that fat? I mean, he wasn't as slim and trim as he once was, but you know, I think he always looked pretty good. I don't know if I'd ever dare call him fat Elvis. Chunky Elvis, maybe. Big boned Elvis, I don't know. Tom says, my girl at the time used to see Robin Williams dress up like an old lady and walk around the neighborhood before he was famous. That is too funny. Jimbo Bananas, welcome to the live stream. Yes, it took me a long time to get an Atari 2600, but I was very envious of those Intellivision sports games. Captain Blerdo says, did I watch, asked me, did I watch Doctor Who on PBS? I did not. It was only a few years back when my oldest son started watching the new version of Doctor Who that I kind of started getting into it. I was aware of Doctor Who, but there was just so much to watch that one didn't quite fit into my viewing schedule. But I have become a bit of a fan of the newer stuff, and I would like to go back and see, Tom Baker's legendary. And I definitely need to go back and kind of see what all the fuss was about. Megapodtastic says Wesley Ury was the host of Nickelodeon's Finders Keepers. That's right. He was a host of that game show on Nickelodeon. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that, Crazy Jack. Yeah, that's the thing. As a guy who's not incredibly thin myself, I look at Fat Elvis and I say, wait, I might be bigger than Fat Elvis. So one must be careful. Superfan Lisa Fields says, my kids love Dragon Tales too. It was a great show, a really great show. All right, we got one more video and then we're going to do some trivia. Let's find out whatever happened to Philip Paley. Let's see. We've got a super sticker I'm going to address in a minute as well. Where is the Philip Paley video? Sorry, folks. Scrolling around. Just takes a little time. Here we go. Land of the Lost was one of my favorite shows growing up. Unlike a lot of Saturday morning television, the stories presented challenged my young mind and helped me cultivate my own imagined adventures with Rick, Will, and Holly in the alternate prehistoric dimension that they had somehow fallen into. Along with the Marshall family, there was Chaka. Good old Chaka, a young member of the Pekuni tribe played by actor Philip Paley. Philip had come to the attention of the producers of the show when he accompanied Chuck Norris onto The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video so that you can watch. It's only a couple of minutes long and it is certainly fun to see young Mr. Paley manhandling the then king of late night talk shows. On Land of the Lost, Chaka had a special relationship with Holly. One got the feeling that they were roughly the same age, probably because Philip and Kathy Coleman, the child actor who played Holly, were close in age as well. When they weren't shooting scenes, Coleman recalls the great times that she and Paley had running around the set and the sets of other shows as well. The friendship between these two actors has lasted to this very day. More on that in a moment. But first, let's talk about one of my favorite episodes during Season 2, titled The Musician, where Philip gets to play dual roles, that of Chaka, as well as one of the forms that a strange being called the Builder takes. He takes the form of a young boy to give Chaka a ring that has extra special powers. I have to imagine that it was an absolute blast for Philip to play a part in the show that didn't require the tedious task of putting on his Chaka costume and makeup. Plus, all of his friends finally got to see him, not Chaka, on TV. So, after Land of the Lost ended its 3-season run, what happened to Philip? Where did he go? Well, Philip didn't completely disappear from the entertainment industry. In the 80s, Philip landed a guest starring role on the Jan Michael Vincent TV show Airwolf, and in 1988, Philip also starred in a Roger Corman teen comedy called Beach Balls. And when he wasn't acting, Philip spent a lot of time hanging around lawyers, of all things. First as a paralegal for 10 years, and more recently as a project manager for a law firm. Philip has said that even though he loves acting, he just hasn't landed more gigs after Land of the Lost because going after roles in an uber-competitive environment like the entertainment industry wasn't fun for him. I think that's something that we can all relate to. Rejection in any form, even when it's trying out for a part on a show, well, it's just no darn fun. As I mentioned earlier, Philip is still extremely close to Kathy Coleman, as well as actor Wesley Ury, who played older brother Will on Land of the Lost. They often make it a point to attend comic conventions together so that they can hang out, catch up, and relive old times. So that's it. I think this is the right picture to end on. 3 friends, just hanging out. I doubt so many years ago when they were all acting on Land of the Lost that these 3 thought it would turn into a lifelong friendship. But that is exactly what it did. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and while you are at it, I would appreciate it if you clicked on the thumbs up icon and maybe even considered subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most of all, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Okay, a couple of comments I want to get to real quick that happened while the video was playing. Jason Sakula says, I think the stop-action dinosaurs were better. You know what? I was able to suspend my sense of disbelief and just, use my imagination. I thought they were great as well. I thought it was really innovative what they did at the time, that combination of stop-action, puppets, and green screen. Very well done. That was a super sticker. So holy cow, let me throw a little salute your way. Let's do a little Dr. Detroit.
Hey, look.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Jason. And superfan John Collins asked, can I do a clean Bob Saget salute? We'll work on that one. Got Betty White on my list. And there was another request for a hee-haw salute, so I've added that to my list as well. Danny Staten says, my mom took me with her to see Elvis in 76. He was really large, like Roseanne big. Well, there you go. Maybe he was really big. Let's see. A couple other comments that I wanted to get to real quick. I think there was, in addition to Jason's super chat, I think there was another one. Let me get to that one. Scrolling through all of the comments. It was from James Rice. It says, please talk about Baggy Pants and the Nitwits and the Oddball Couple cartoon. And please play a little Hoyt Curtin. Okay. Well, I can't come up with any Hoyt Curtin tonight, but I will talk about in a future video Baggy Pants and the Nitwits and the Oddball Couple. A couple of cartoons that I haven't thought about for a very long time. Tom says, love your format, the way you're always changing it. I'm experimenting. We'll see if this format works. I do kind of enjoy sharing some of my videos this way. So I want to get back to James, though, real quick. But thanks for the suggestion, Tom. And James, I want to throw a salute your way. Thank you for the support. That it's always, the super chat support is, I can't tell you how much that's appreciated and how it makes efforts like this, the planning and the preparation for a live stream, how it just, it's rewarding when I see when people are appreciative of that. So,
well, isn't that special?
Yeah, Dana Carvey said it way better than I did. I'm too long-winded. It's just truly special, and I appreciate your support. So thanks so much, James Rice. Let's see. There were a couple other things in there. Oh, Drew L. had a comment. I can't go back and find it. There's just too many of them. But Drew L. had a comment about Elvis still being alive. Has anybody seen the movie Bubba Hotep? It's a Don Coscarelli movie, and it's about Elvis faking his death. He fakes his death, trades places with an Elvis impersonator. That Elvis impersonator is the one who dies. So everybody thinks Elvis is dead, but no one believes the real Elvis when he says, I'm not dead. And he's in a senior home with JFK, whose brain has been implanted into the body of a black man. And Ozzie Davis plays JFK. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's a horror movie. And Bruce Campbell plays Elvis, and Ozzie Davis is JFK. Really good. One of my favorites. I don't believe that Philip Paley is related to William Paley. Thanks for the question. And let's see. There was another. I've lost track of the other comments I wanted to get to. So let's do this. I've got a guy outside my front yard here with a generator or a tractor. I don't know if you can hear that. So annoying, but what can I do? Let's get to another video, and maybe by the time he leaves, we will, or by the time the video's over, he'll be gone. So I've got some commercials. We'll do some commercials from 1974. We'll come back and we'll do Land of the Lost trivia for those folks who have stuck with me through thick and thin during this live stream.
Here are the kids from City Park doing a Libby's commercial.
You will like it. Ooh, we like Libby juices because everybody gets a can. You will like it. On the table. Libby's apricot nectar is my favorite. Louder, Tommy. I drink Libby's all the time. On the table. What is it? It says Libby's on the label. Ta-da!
In an old trail town, there was a gang of dirty guys they called the Bathtub Ring. Their boss was Dirty Bert. He'd plaster kids with dirt. He was having a real wild fling. Mr. Bubble called him out. Dirty Bert wheeled about and saw our hero swing. He got Bert roped and tied. He scrubbed Bert's dirty hide. And he cleaned up the bathtub ring. Take a bath with Mr. Bubble and give Dirty Bert a lot of trouble.
Flare, fly, full bum. Flare, fly, full bum.
School's open. Today's class is about the new giant line coloring pens. We're going to learn how these big fat points make big fat lines. There's even a sharp black outliner too. The brand new giant line coloring pens for school. 10 big, bright, washable colors.
Flare, fly, full bum. White flare.
Maybe the only reason you buy Kool-Aid is because your children ask for it. But if you think about it, there are better reasons. Kids aren't the only ones who like Kool-Aid. Parents do, teenagers, even grandparents. And you can quench everybody's thirst with Kool-Aid for about half the price of the leading brand of soda. The Kool-Aid is lighter and also has vitamin C. You know, buying Kool-Aid's smarter than you think.
All right, 4 classic commercials from 1974. Hey, superfan, Mama Pink, good night. Hope you get feeling better. Let's do this. It's, well, yeah, we've still got that tractor beam. Thrash Pondo called it a tracker beam, I think is what he called it. But yeah, I've got a tractor and a generator, I think, going outside of my... I live in, I'm fortunate enough that I live in it's a subdivision, but the homes are fairly spaced apart. And this feller who lives across the street from me has some horse property down the road. And so he fires up everything to go feed his horses and feed and water the horses twice a day. And that's what's going on right now. Hey, Paul Maggio has sent a super sticker my way. Truly appreciated, Paul. Let me throw a little love your way in form of a video salute before we get to trivia. Let's go with the Dukes, and then we'll do a little Gomer.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Let's see. Jill says, by the way, that she still has cold and snow in Michigan. You know what? We're supposed to get snow tonight, I think. And it has been kind of cold in the 20s and 30s lately. All right. Let's do this. Let me take that off screen here. And here we go. Using a different format tonight for the trivia as well. But I hope everybody's ready for 10 questions. Try to say that right. 10 questions about Land of the Lost. So I'm going to go to a different format here. And then I'm going to zoom in so everybody can see the screen. There we go. All right. So first off, thank you to the website Fun Trivia. It's funtrivia.com, and the author of this trivia is Bernie73. 10 questions, moderately difficult questions. If you're a fan of Land of the Lost, I think you'll do okay on this one. There are a couple of tough ones. But let's see how we do. Let's start the quiz. Which method of transportation was the Marshall family using when they were transported to the Land of the Lost? Were they hiking on foot? Were they in a raft? Were they in a plane? Or were they in a van? All right. Lock in your answer in your head or in the chat. We got about 5 seconds before we get an answer, so lock it in. Hiking on foot, in a raft, in a plane, or in a van? Lock in your answer. I didn't answer it. I should have, because now it tells me that I was incorrect. But they were in a raft. This sequence was shown during the opening credits of the show, and the Marshall family seen traveling on a river said to be the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon on an inflatable raft. The raft went over a waterfall, and the family is transported to the land of the lost. By the way, great theme song. That's another thing that show had going for it, was the theme song. And immensely hummable. And all those Croft shows. I saw a comment earlier about how the Croft shows kind of ruined cartoons in the 70s, Saturday morning cartoons. I think there was a desire by the networks to mix up the cartoons with live action. There were a couple of reasons for that. One was that there was pressure for them to deliver programming that had a message, some sort of positive educational message, and that was easier to do in most cases with live action. The other thing was it was just less expensive than animation, believe it or not, in some cases. All right, so when we get to the third one, I'll check everybody's scores, but let's go to the next question. In the very first episode, the Marshall family meet Chaka, who appears in many episodes. What was the name of his species? Was it Sleestak, Pakuni, Kazon, or Andorian? Again, your choices are Sleestak, Pakuni, Kazon, or Andorian. All right, lock in your answer either in your head or in the chat. Feel free either way. One doesn't need to put your answers in the chat. If you want to, though, feel free. We're just got seconds here. The correct answer is Pakuni. Yep, Pakuni, like Chaka, were a primate-like species that could walk upright and were covered with fur. They were capable of handling objects and could create and use simple tools and weapons. In addition to Chaka, the show featured two other Pakuni, Sa and Ta. All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving and go to the next question. Another recurring character was an Altrusian, although he appeared to be related to the Sleestak. What was the name of this being who at different times was both friend and rival to the Marshall family? Was it Enoch, Klaatu, Sa, or Moloch? Again, your choices are Enoch, Klaatu, Sa, or Moloch. Lock in your answer in the chat or just in your head. We're about 5 seconds away from sharing the answer. Enoch, Klaatu, Sa, or Moloch? And the correct answer is Enoch. Enoch was biologically related to the Sleestak. Initially, he thought the primitive Sleestak were the ancestors of his people, the Altrusians. He was dismayed to discover that the Sleestak were the ancestors of the devoted Sleestak. In many cases, basketball players, like Bill Laimbeer, wore prosthetic costumes so that they would appear taller than average humans. And Walker Edmondson played the character of Enoch. All right, let's see how folks are doing. We have 3 questions in. We got Double B's 3 of 3. Kenneth Wilkinson's 3 of 3. Thrash Pondo is 3 of 3. Zuper 0 of 2. Mike D is 3 of 3. Hungry Jerks 2 of 3. Lamont Bradford's 1 of 3. Danny's got all 3. Easy peasy, he tells me. Terrell tells me it's easy too. Or it appears easy for Terrell. He's got 3 of 3. Rome Ticklin's got 3 of 3. TJ 921 Abel's 3 of 3. Superfan Kevin Davis is 3 of 3. Snorum 11 Aru is 3 of 3. Shannon Burns is, oh boy, where'd you go, Shannon? You're 2 of 3. Flor Morena is 3 of 3. Georgia Ayers is 3 of 3. Emily Miller 3 of 3. Carolyn Lester 3 of 3. Dave Kerbow is 3 of 3. Chrome Minions 2 of 3. Todd McCreary is 3 of 3. Custom God is 3 of 3. Tim the Enchanter's 3 of 3. Superfan Nancy D's 1 of 3. Dolph Quick's 0 of 3. Superfan Jill Carter's 3 of 3. Kimberly Wiederholt's 3 of 3. Funshag's 2 of 3. John Stemmer's 3 of 3. Superfan John Collins is 1 of 3. I think we're caught up. Let's go to the next question. Holly, the daughter in the Marshall family, found a baby dinosaur which she wanted to adopt as a pet. Which species was this dinosaur? Was it a pterodactyl, a stegosaurus, a brontosaurus, or megalodon? Again, Holly adopts a dinosaur as a pet. What is the species? Pterodactyl, stegosaurus, brontosaurus, or megalodon? Lock in your answer in the chat or in your head. Either way is fine. I trust you. Pterodactyl, stegosaurus, brontosaurus, megalodon. Correct answer is brontosaurus. The dinosaur's name was Dopey. The others, the others were less enthusiastic about the idea than she was. She attempted with limited success to harness Dopey to a wooden cart that she and Will had been using to transport food and other supplies. Dopey first appears in the 3rd episode of the 1st season, the episode suitably titled Dopey. I love Dopey. All right, so let's keep moving. Next question. In the episode Downstream, here's where they get a little tougher. An American soldier named Jefferson, who had been living in the land of the lost, met the Marshall family. In which war had this man, who had a weapon named Sarah, been a soldier? Was it the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, or the Civil War? Again, the episode's Downstream, the Marshall family meets a soldier named Jefferson, who has a weapon named Sarah. What war was he from? The Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, or the Civil War? Lock in your answer in your head or in the chat. Either way is fine. Correct answer is Civil War. His full name was Jefferson Davis Colley III, and he'd fought on the Confederate side in the U.S. Civil War. He was played again by Walker Edmiston, the same actor who plays Enoch. Sarah was a cannon that Jefferson used to scare away the sleestack. All right, one more question, then we'll get scores. In 2 episodes, the Marshall family encounters an alien creature known as the Zarn. Which weakness did the otherwise formidable Zarn possess? They could be harmed by metal, harmed by emotions, harmed by water, or harmed by light. Which of these was harmful to the Zarn? Metal, emotions, water, or light? Lock it in. Lock and load, people. Either in the chat or in your head, because here comes the answer. The correct answer is emotions. Van Snowden portrayed the physical form of the Zarn, while Marvin Miller provided the voice. Negative emotions, such as hate, fear, or pity, cause the Zarn physical pain and harm. All right, let's see some scores, folks. 6 in, let's see some scores. All right, Superplex. My friend Dave is 2 for 5. I think there's been 6 questions so far. You might have missed one somewhere along the way. Cro-Minions, 4 of 6. Let's see what else. Double B's 4 of 5. Todd McCreary's 5 of 6. Superfan Mike D's 4 of 5. Rom Ticklin's 5 of 5. Jimbo Bananas is 4 of 6. TJ 921 Abel 6 of 6. Kenneth Wilkinson 6 of 6. Superfan Kevin Davis 5 of 6. Emily Miller's rocking it tonight 5 of 6. Good job. Superfan George Ayers 5 of 6 as well. Shannon Burns, I'm going to say 3 of 6. Dave Kerbow has answered 5 questions, got 3 of them right. Bob has got 6 of 6. Good job, my friend. Snorum 11 Aru is 4 of 6. Tom, 4 of 6. Custom God, 6 of 6. Flora Morena, 4 of 6. Al Odawardi, 3 of 6. Terrell Bellinger, 6 of 6. Tim the Enchanter, 5 of 6. Funsjack, 4 of 6. Jason Sakulo, 5 of 6. Superfan Kevin Davis, 5 of 6. Danny Staten's got them all. You rock it, my friend. Rocking it as usual. Rome Ticklin, 6 of 6. Cindy Jones, 3 of 6. Kimberly Wiederhold, 6 of 6. Dave Kerbell, 4 of 6. Dominic D, 5 of 6. John Stemmer, 5 of 6. Dolph Quick, 6 of 6. Hello, Sitcom Goofs. Good to have you with us. We got 4 more questions. We're playing a little bit of trivia based on Land of the Lost. Rob Pinto, 6 of 6. Supervan Jill Carter, 6 of 6. Lamont Bradford's 1 of 6. Ancient Reaper, 7 of 9. Holy cow. Bonus questions I haven't even asked. Good job. Paul Maggio, 6 of 6. John Collins is 1 of 6. I don't like the layouts of the questions on the graphic. The print is small as we try to read it. Yeah, let me make it a little bit bigger for you, John, if I can. And yeah, I got lazy tonight. I decided to use the website instead of putting everything into PowerPoint. But I appreciate the feedback, and maybe we'll, and when I have more time, I'll definitely get the trivia into PowerPoint. Karen Lester's 5 of 6. James Rice is 6 of 6. Monk Martin's 5 of 6. All right, let's get rolling. Let's get rolling to our next question. I got to scroll down here now for that. Here we go. Which character was prominently featured in the first 2 seasons of the show, but was largely absent during the 3rd season? Explained on show as accidentally returning home. Was it Alice Marshall, Will Marshall, Rick Marshall, or Holly Marshall? All right. Again, was it Alice Marshall, Will Marshall, Rick Marshall, or Holly Marshall that didn't make it into the 3rd season? If you've been watching the live stream, you know the answer to this question. The correct answer is Rick Marshall. The father appeared prominently during the first 2 seasons, but only appeared in a brief shot during the credits of the 3rd season. Spencer Milligan, and by the way, I don't even think that was Spencer Milligan there. I think that was someone else wearing a wig to look like Spencer Milligan. Spencer Milligan, the actor who portrayed Rick, was in dispute with the producers over his contract and chose not to return to the show. Here you go. A member of the crew wore a wig similar to Milligan's curly hair and was shot from the back to show Rick accidentally leaving the Land of the Lost through a portal. All right, and that's when Uncle Ron came. I thought it was Uncle Jack, but now there you go. I have to go back and watch the show. I didn't watch a ton of the 3rd season. I was a big fan of the first 2 seasons. The 3rd season, because it lost Spencer Milligan, it was still good and still had some great writing, but I haven't watched that season for a very long time. All right, let's keep moving. What was the name of the metallic structures scattered throughout Land of the Lost that allowed one to monitor and control to an extent the Land of the Lost? Were they pylons, markers, way stations, or toll booths? That's what I thought, Custom God. I thought it was Uncle Jack. It's Ron Harper, the actor who played Jack. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for helping me out there. Excuse me. What is the answer? Pylons, markers, way stations, or toll booths? The name of the metallic structures? They were pylons. They tended to be pyramid-shaped, but flattened at the top and narrow for their height. An unusual feature of the pylons was that they were bigger on the inside than the outside. All right, let's go to the next question. This is question 9 of 10. We will do the last 2 questions, and then we will go ahead and get everybody's scores. Which Land of the Lost character met a future vision of him or her in the episode Elsewhen? Was it Will, Chaka, Holly, or Enoch? Again, this character met a future vision of him or her in the episode Elsewhen. I really like this episode, by the way. Will, Chaka, Holly, or Enoch? All right, lock in your answer in the chat or in your noggin, because we are about to find out that it was Holly. Though not directly stated, the character Ronnie was generally considered to be an adult version of Holly. She wore a blue dress and had long blonde hair. She explained to Holly that her family saw her as the baby of the family and she should help them as she could. She also stated that she came from a future where her other family members were no longer in the Land of the Lost, though whether through death or leaving the Land of the Lost is unclear. Ronnie was played by Erica Hagen. And again, when they did the 90s version of Land of the Lost, originally the plan was to have Kathy Coleman reprise her character of Holly And, the idea would be that she would be this Ronnie character. But there you go. Didn't happen. They ended up with Krista instead. Okay, one more question, and then we'll get scores. In the episode Tar Pit, which character was trapped in a tar pit and needed to be rescued by others? Was it Holly, Will, Dopey, or Chaka? Again, in the episode Tar Pit, one of the characters was trapped in a tar pit and needed to be rescued. Was it Holly, Will, Dopey, or Chaka? Daryl, thanks for continuing to remind folks about asking for or hitting that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the live stream tonight. Truly appreciate you doing that. All right. The correct answer is Dopey. Says Spot the dinosaur was also trapped in the tar pit, but Spot was able to get out. Dopey's size compared to the humans and Pakuni made teamwork necessary. Rick Marshall's first attempt to use a homemade tackle and pulley to free Dopey was unsuccessful. Dopey was finally freed when Rick and Will attached a harness to Emily the dinosaur and used her to free Dopey. Interestingly, the significant roles of Chaka, Sa, and Ta led to an episode where less than half of the dialogue was in English and the rest was in Pakuni. This goes to what I was saying earlier about how Land of the Lost never talked down to the viewer, the children, the kids watching the show. And I appreciated that. All right, let's see scores. Let me go ahead and go full screen again. And let's see scores here. Crominion, 5 of 10. Good job. Superfan Mike D, 7 of 10. Superfan Kevin Davis, 8 of 10. Todd McCurry, 8 of 10. Karen Lester, 8 of 10. Terrell got all 10 tonight. Nicely done, Terrell. 10 of 10. Superfan George Ayers, 7 of 10. Rome Ticklin knocked it out of the park as well. 10 of 10. Superfan, let's see. What else do we have here? TJ921 Abel, 9 of 10. Jimbo Banana, 6 of 10. Shannon Burns, 6 of 10. Emily Miller, 8 of 10. Good job, Emily. Flor Morena, 5 of 10. Tim the Enchanter, 7 of 10. Let's see other scores here. Jason Sakulu, 9 of 10. Good job. James Rice, 8 of 10. John Stemmer, 9 of 10. Great to have you with us, TJ921 Abel. I'm glad you enjoyed the trivia. Custom God, 9 of 10. Says, but Ronnie was not really Holly. I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. I know where you're going, though. Let's see. Cindy Jones, 5 of 10. Superfan Jill Carter, 10 of 10. Good job. Tom, a.k.a. Hungry Jerk, 7 of 10. Nicely done. Alo Duarte, 6 of 10. Guessed at most of them. You still got more than half right. Good job. Rob Pinto, 10 of 10. But as Emily mentioned, only because this was multiple choice, the pylons were terrifying to me when they went inside them. Yes. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciated. Let's throw a little, what do we got? Let's throw a little Andy Kaufman your way.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate your support in the form of the super chat. Good job on the score. 10 of 10. That wasn't an easy trivia quiz. Dolph Quick, 10 of 10 as well. Dominic D, 9 of 10. Thrash Pondo, 9 of 10. Can't believe you missed the Holly question either. Storm 11 Aru, 10 of 10. Good job. Let's see, Monk Martin, 9 of 10. Lamont Bradford, 4 of 10. Superfan John Collins, 3 of 10. Obviously not your jam, but thanks for playing. Thank you for playing, John. Appreciate it. Kimberly Wiederhold, 10 of 10. Good job. Wow. Impressive that you haven't seen the show in years and still remember it. Paul Maggio, 9 of 10. Good job. Crominion got at least half right. There you go. Paul Maggio, I said 9 of 10. Good job. Didn't remember the dinosaur in the mud. That happens. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us. All right, folks. You know what? It has been a phenomenal live stream. I've really enjoyed it, and I have enjoyed hanging out with all of you, talking about one of my favorite shows from the 70s. I'm talking about Sid and Marty Krofft's Land of the Lost. Ran for 3 seasons beginning in 1974 on the NBC television network. So, as I said, I'm going to formally conclude tonight's live stream. Big thank you to Daryl Johnston for reminding folks to click on that like button, and I would say the same thing to you. I do got a couple thank yous. I want to say thank you to Rob Pinto. Rob Pinto, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for going and clicking on that little join button right there below the video and becoming a member, a super fan of the channel. Rob gets early access to many of my videos, prioritized responses to his comments, access to the live stream back catalog post 30 days, and just tons of appreciation and love from me. So thanks, Rob, for doing that. And let's see what we got here. Anything else I want to cover before? I think I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for making my evening wonderful. We're going to formally conclude this, and then for those folks that stick around and want to visit in the chat, I'll play some videos that were requested. I'm going to track down. It'll be a couple minutes for me to download them and put them on StreamYard, but I'll track down my Judy Strangis video, my V video, and a Knight Rider video as well. And who knows, there might be a couple of other bonus videos. Folks, have a great night. Remember how much you're appreciated. Thank you for being part of my YouTube community, I should say. And I just hope you have a tremendous remainder of the week. Take care. Be good to each other.
Hey folks, if you're enjoying this live stream, be like the Fonz and give it a thumbs up. Hey.
does another. She does whatever keeps her satisfied. Beautiful boy, oh, she calls me. My heart is in my hand. Beautiful, beautiful boy, beautiful boy. She calls me. My heart is in my hand. She calls me a beautiful boy. She draws the line, distance between lovers. Well, she's all mine, this I know. A younger man searches for some desire. I keep my hand in fire. Tell me one thing, does another. She does whatever keeps her satisfied. Beautiful boy, ooh, she calls me. My heart is in my hand. Beautiful, beautiful boy, beautiful boy. She calls me. My heart is in my hand. Beautiful, beautiful boy. Such a beautiful. She tells me one thing, she does another. She does whatever keeps her satisfied. Beautiful boy, oh, she calls me.
Judy Strangis, or should I say Dinah Girl. Judy was such a prolific television actress during the 60s and 70s. Even if you don't immediately recognize her name, I guarantee that you've seen her in something. For me, Judy will always be best known as Dinah Girl in the Sid and Marty Krofft Saturday morning classic Electra Woman and Dinah Girl, part of the Krofft Super Show. Electra Woman and Dinah Girl co-star Deidre Hall as the titular superheroine, and Judy was her younger sidekick, a female boy wonder, if you will. The show was patterned after the Batman TV series from the late 60s, and just like that show, it was a whole heck of a lot of fun. But as I mentioned, that was the mid-70s. And Judy, well, she'd been working in the entertainment industry for a very long time. So let's go all the way back to Spike Jones. The legendary band leader was actually Judy's uncle, and his TV show from the early 60s allowed young Judy to make a handful of appearances. This wasn't her first gig. She'd actually guest starred in a few other TV shows and even made a movie earlier than that. But Uncle Spike's fame and notoriety helped other family members, including Judy, make important connections within the industry. In fact, Judy's brother worked behind the scenes on the aforementioned Batman TV series from the 60s. And Judy, looking very much like Dinah Girl undercover here, made an appearance on a couple of episodes early on. I think they were ones with Catwoman, and if I remember correctly, musicians Chad and Jeremy were in those episodes as well. After that, numerous guest appearances on many other TV shows followed, but it was on ABC's Room 222 where Judy's star really took off. From 1969 to 1974, Judy co-starred in that show as one of the students, Helen Loomis. According to IMDb, she was in 70 episodes, so most of them. My memories of Room 222 are that it came after the Brady Bunch on Friday nights, and sometimes, just sometimes, we could watch it. But because the show tended to tackle controversial subjects of the day, there were many Friday evenings where the old man would shut us down and suggest that we go read or something. I know, right? Go read or something? What was he thinking? Anyway, as Room 222 was winding down, Judy discovered that she was also a talented vocal actress, and she started getting steady work doing that kind of stuff. She was on Saturday morning shows like Hanna-Barbera's The Roman Holidays, as well as another fun show, Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. While I wasn't a huge fan of either of these particular cartoons, it was her next Saturday morning project that would make me a fan forever. Yep, we're talking about Electra Woman and Dinah Girl here, and I got to say that it was Electra-fantastic. In a fairly recent podcast, Judy mentioned that all 16 episodes were filmed over the course of just a couple of weeks. According to Judy, they would film almost an episode every day. Holy cow, Batman, think about that. Making Electra Woman and Dinah Girl was really just a tiny, teeny blip in Judy's life, and yet here we are decades later still talking about it. After hanging up the cape and tights, Judy found work on TV shows like Chips, where she made a couple of appearances, and also on The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo. I promised to talk more about that show, which was a spin-off of BJ and the Bear, at a later date. For the time being, however, let's get back to Judy. In 1981, she provided the voice for the title character in the Ruby Spears Saturday morning show Goldie Gold and Action Jack. Goldie is a super rich heiress on the show. Think Paris Hilton kind of money, and along with her dog Nugget, oh yeah, and some reporter named Action Jack, she would, on a weekly basis, stumble into some kind of amazing adventure. I actually like this cartoon a lot. It came out right after Raiders of the Lost Ark hit the big screen, and although very different, it had a similar kind of vibe. Judy's last live-action appearance on TV was in a 1984 episode of Matt Houston, in which her character was, ironically enough, billed as Judith Strangis. Playing a version of herself, I guess. I'm sure a dramatically different version than the real Judy, but it did seem like a fitting way to say adios to her fans. Aside from a couple of small voice acting gigs, Judy's time in front of a camera or microphone appeared to be over. In 1987, Judy helped write the story for a CBS school break special about bulimia titled Little Miss Perfect. That particular episode was very well done and would earn Judy an Emmy nomination. But that, as far as I can tell, was it. So what happened and where did she go? Well, if you ask the internet, you will see various comments about a stalker of some sort. Most make mention that the stalker was never identified or apprehended, but it was enough to force Judy into making some very life-changing decisions. Again, I can't verify this, but if true, that had to be a very scary time for her. Whatever happened, we know for sure that Judy decided it was time to call it a career and just go live her life, and who can blame her for that? You know, there really isn't all that much information about Judy Strangis, the real person out there. In that same podcast I referred to earlier, Judy noted that she is a pretty private person, and I want to respect that. I do know she's married, or at least some point she was. I'm hoping she still is, and I also know that she kind of stays away from the whole social media thing. If what I mentioned earlier was true, it's easy to understand why she might want to avoid things like Facebook and Twitter. But that doesn't mean that she's a recluse by any means. Judy has made appearances at various events honoring her past work. Here she is in 2010 with cast members from Room 222. Seriously, it doesn't look like either she or Karen Valentine have aged a day. Pretty darn impressive. One might even say they look Elektra terrific. And here she is with our boys Sid and Marty, along with Elektra woman herself, Deirdre Hall. Wow. Again, these ladies look Elektra awesome. I've referred to a couple of times in this video a podcast that Judy was on a few years ago. That podcast is called the Comic Book Central Podcast, and it's a pretty darn fun listen if you're into comics, TV, and movies. Judy appeared in episode 49, but the podcast is well over 200 episodes now. Like I said, if you're a fan of the same things that I am, you might want to add it to your podcast listening queue. Okay, that is it. One last picture. What a stunning beauty. Alright, now it's your turn. Please share your memories in the comments section, and while you're at it, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Maybe even share this video on Facebook or Twitter, and what the heck? Why not subscribe to the channel? I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. "1983 was a pretty good year for me. I was finally out of high school, and even better than that, in May of '83, the final installment of the original Star Wars trilogy, Return of the Jedi, had been released. I know the movie has its problems, mostly Ewoks and the fact that Boba Fett's demise came too soon, way too easy, but I still love that movie. And then there was this little thing. Actually, it wasn't very little. V, the original miniseries, was a major television event. And if you're a geek like I was, like I am, well, let's just say, it was freaking awesome. It also didn't hurt that Jane Badler was drop-dead gorgeous. She's just a classic beauty. It was obvious from the get-go, too, at least to me, that there was way more to her than what my naked eye could see. But the original miniseries succeeded not just because of her and the rest of the cast, but also because of the fact that it was just really good science fiction. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was some of the best science fiction that television had produced since the gone way too soon demise of Battlestar Galactica after one short season on ABC. This time the network was NBC, and they spared no expense to market the heck out of this thing. This is what I saw when I opened up my TV guide in '83. 2-page advertisements weren't all that common, but the network wanted everyone to know that this was huge. They also peppered New York and Los Angeles with posters. Posters that would, after a couple of days, be spray painted with a big red V. The original miniseries, which was a 2-day event, was a huge success. So I guess it only stands to reason that the following year, we got V, the final battle. It was good, but not as good. And there were some problems on the set. In fact, they were serious enough that the miniseries creator, Kenneth Johnson, he left V, the final battle, midway through production, dissatisfied with the pressure that the network was placing on him to take the story in a direction that he didn't necessarily agree with. And I'm sure that part of that direction was to pave the way for V, the series. Which didn't make any sense because the second miniseries had promised some sort of resolution with a final battle. Whatever. Anyway, the visitors were back and apparently here to stay, or so they thought. The series didn't garner the same type of ratings as the 2 miniseries had, and after 1 season, it was cancelled. And as long as we're tracking the history of V, it should be mentioned that ABC rebooted it in 2009. I can barely remember this thing, but I hear it ran for a couple of seasons. So with all of that out of the way, here are 3 things that I learned way back in 1983 when I watched the original miniseries. Number 1, and this is a relatively simple rule of thumb. If someone strange shows up bearing an olive branch and making promises that seem way too good to be true, well, they probably are. Years later, Fox Mulder and the X-Files would hammer this point home even harder. 3 simple words. Trust no one. Moving on to learning number 2. TV, yes, television, will eventually lead us down a rocky and disastrous path. Throughout the original miniseries, and especially during the first part, much of the narrative is told through multiple television screens, and eventually when the visitor's nefarious intentions come to light, they utilize television to manipulate and deceive the masses. A few years later, comic book author and artist Frank Miller would utilize a similar technique in his groundbreaking graphic novel about an aged Batman titled The Dark Knight Returns. My third learning is something that I was already starting to figure out, but this movie, as well as a handful of other films, books, and even music, helped me to really get a grasp on this concept, which is a simple thing. It's this: resistance is anything but futile. In fact, the willingness of a handful of people to rise up and resist moving along with the rest of the flock is a critical concept that I believe we should all do our best to embrace. No matter how difficult at times it may be to swim against the current, it's something that we all need to do. Alright, enough philosophizing. The miniseries, the original miniseries, was great. But the real test of time, the only way to know if a TV series or a movie is a true classic, is to ask the question, is it lunchbox worthy? And this time, the answer is a resounding heck yeah. I don't remember this lunchbox. Like I said, I was out of school by 1983, but it is super good to know that children everywhere were able to tote lunch to school in this very fashionable tin box. So there you go. Did you enjoy the original V miniseries as much as I did? If so, tell me why in the comments section below. I wasn't as big of a fan of the follow-up efforts, but if you were and would like to share why, I would love to read those comments as well. And while you're at it, I'd love you to click on the thumbs up icon, and I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Knight Rider is an American television series created and produced by Glenn A. Larson. Yep, the same Glenn Larson who gave us Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, and The $6 Million Man. Boy, I really love that guy's shows, and I really liked Knight Rider a lot. It reminded me of another show that, well, I love dearly, but more on that in a bit. The series was originally broadcast on NBC from 1982 to 1986, 4 seasons in all. The show starred David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight, a high-tech modern crime fighter assisted by Kit, an advanced, artificially intelligent, self-aware, and nearly indestructible car. Along with William Daniels as the voice of Kit, the show also starred Edward Mulhare as Devin Miles, the leader of a secret crime-fighting organization that Michael worked for, and Patricia McPherson as Bonnie Barstow, Kit's chief technician. Knight Rider was a ratings hit from the start, and the cast of the show really developed a fairly loyal fan base. Of course, no one was bigger than the Hoff, but both Mulhare and McPherson became quite popular as well. The show, in its very core, is about a guy and his super cool car. Truthfully, I can think of only one car that was ever more cool than Kit. Please don't hate me for loving this car more than any other. Sure, it doesn't talk, but the Batmobile, in its many incarnations, but especially this one, has got to be at least part of the inspiration for Kit. In fact, in both cases it can be argued that without their vehicles, the heroes, whether we're talking about Michael or Batman, well, they were less heroic. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And what the heck, why not check out my channel? I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.